Hey everybody, good morning. This is Hilary Stupa with Qdabra Software, and we are going to be having a very short webinar this morning. We just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of a recent issue we've been seeing in InfoPath filler. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay and see my screen okay. Maybe holler up with a question if for some reason you cannot. Um, so um, what we've been seeing is, whoops, looks like I'm doing a poll first, sorry. Let's find out what you guys are running. I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. I have to select it first. There we go. To discover kind of who's got what level of risk for this particular KB. So I popped a poll up. Go ahead and start answering about what you're doing in terms of Windows and InfoPath, and then we can talk a little bit more about what we've been seeing. So I'll give everybody just a couple more seconds here. And we're getting close. Okay, right now I'm really surprised. I'm going to close this poll in just a second. Right now I'm really surprised because I'm seeing 100% of the people who voted are using Windows 7. So yeah, that's news to me. 57% of you, 60% of you. Whoop, it's changing now. Now we've got a few less on Windows 7. 94% are using Windows 7. 63% of you are using some filler forms. 71% of you are querying data from web services or a database. These are kind of changing as people are voting. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll so we go back to the presentation, which some of you know I forget to do sometimes. And I do see some people mentioning they're using web-based forms. And so, and thanks, Scott. I was going to ask you about that, actually. I'm glad you're here because I had seen you in one of the email threads on this issue. So at any rate, in general, where we've been seeing this issue stir up is in Windows 7 and InfoPath filler, and when there are queries that are hitting data from a web service or a database. As we're seeing a few people mention they're also maybe seeing some problems in browser forms with this same KB. So this is information that's good to have. There was a patch that came out on October 12th, 2015 that causes some forms to freeze up. In general, what we have seen is removal of this particular patch, KB 309-3983, has been solving people's problems. So we also, though, in doing some research, have not seen this patch alone cause a problem. So I just want to be clear about that. I have two virtual machines I did some testing on. Both are running Windows 7. One of them I did some testing before installing the patch, and then I did some testing after I installed the patch. I could not reproduce the issue that we've seen in some client forms. So just be aware that there's probably something else going on here that we've not been able to narrow down. However, what we've seen is basically a memory leak where all of a sudden the memory just kind of maxes out. And what we found for a solution is that uninstalling this update is frequently a good workaround wherein people stop having the issue once the update's been uninstalled. And I'm just gonna see if I can get back to my taskbar here. So what the symptoms are we've been seeing is just basically terrible performance in InfoPath. I watched on one client's server, or I'm sorry, machine, where when they selected something from a dropdown and the form ran a query, the entire dropdown would freeze and the whole form would just hang for about 30 seconds. And then they would not be able to do anything. And so then what we were seeing was this maxed out memory. So if you need to uninstall an update, in general, you can find out if you have this update by looking in Windows Update History. So you can see what we're looking for here is Cumulative Security Update for Internet Explorer 11 for Windows 7. This is the update that we've seen removal of, resolving the issue. And I see we've got some stuff going on in questions that I'm going to review with you guys here shortly because like I said, we're still kind of gathering information together and seeing where all this has been a problem. In general, you should be able to remove updates from programs and features, installed updates. If you are here in Programs and Features, you can click here to view install updates in order to see updates that have been installed. I have to tell you, on this virtual machine, I cannot find that update under installed updates. Apparently, sometimes group policy affects what you can or cannot uninstall. I think most of you know by now you can run system restore to roll a machine back to before updates. So that may be an alternative if you cannot find the update here under installed updates in order to uninstall it. I want to pop back over here to some of the questions. Some people who have seen this issue have seen it in browser forms. I'm seeing a comment from someone saying that they've had freezing issues in QRules forms that were designed for InfoPath Filler 2010. And then it says Office 365 installed on the client machine. So I'm imagining they mean Office, that, okay, thanks very much. They mean that Office 2013 was installed from Office 365, I think, to clarify. Someone else has commented they saw huge memory used with Internet Explorer. So this is with a browser form. They saw huge memory used with Internet Explorer with the KB. And Scott, once you got that KB out of there, you didn't have the problem, right? And I see somebody else mentions that they were seeing memory leaks. Okay, great. So to clarify, you guys, I'm sorry, this is so back and forth. We're kind of chatting in questions here too, since it's all sort of a brainstorm as to what's going on. But so if you're seeing it in browser forms, it looks like you're going to see a huge amount of memory used in Internet Explorer when you check Task Manager. So that's one thing to check. If things are just obnoxious in your browser forms, go check that. If you're seeing a huge amount of memory used, try removing this KB. I see Brian mentions that they were seeing memory leaks in repeating sections in browser forms. So those are the things you want to check for. If all of a sudden you have a form that has been working, everything's been copacetic, people are using it, and now boom, you're getting complaints. Go look and see if this KB is around. I'm gonna pop back a few slides here to the KB 309 3983. So go look in your installed updates for that cumulative update for Internet Explorer. This is the KB number. See if it's there. If it is there and you're seeing a huge amount of memory used by IE for browser forms or a huge amount of memory used by InfoPath for filler forms, then try uninstalling that KB. And apparently, okay, I see somebody saying they're not able to uninstall due to policy, asking if Microsoft is working on a fix. Not to my knowledge. I don't know if there's been any information on that yet, or if they're aware of the issue. I'm going to highlight that to Patrick today and find out if he's talked to anybody there. Brian, I see that you're seeing a ULS log error, that's great to have too. I appreciate you passing that information on. So apparently in the form where the issue was showing up as a memory leak when inserting repeating sections, what they were seeing in the ULS is business logic object model reentrance count limit was exceeded. So that's an error to watch out for. Again, I apologize for the kind of randomosity of this, but I would encourage you, if you cannot uninstall the update, see if you can use System Restore, because sometimes when group policy blocks you from uninstalling an update, you may still be able to use System Restore. You may need to talk to your IT department about the policy and being able to uninstall. And I will talk to Patrick and find out if he knows if anybody's talked to Microsoft yet about this particular issue. So really, guys, that's it. We wanted to get this out. Oh, great. And thanks. Somebody else mentions if you go to help or about in Internet Explorer, it may display the KB. So that's another place to look if you need to look and verify that you do have this KB installed. Again, I realize this was kind of short and sort of random, but we just wanted to get the information out there so people know. I think, pretty much everybody who attends these webinars is probably doing some form design, which means you're supporting some form users. So even if your machine personally is not having this issue, you may have users coming to you and saying, hey, we've got an issue. I've been keeping an eye out on the InfoPath Dev forum, just kind of seeing if we have a bunch of questions there. I haven't seen anything specific to that yet, but definitely it's worth keeping an eye out for and being aware of. I think you guys probably all have my email address. If you don't, let me just pop this up. It is hilarystupa@qdabra.com. Our support alias is support@qdabra.com. So definitely, if you've noticed something else or if you have an idea as to what besides this KB may be coming into play, since I couldn't reproduce it on a VM, I'd be fascinated to learn more. I'll follow up with Patrick today and see if anybody's talked to Microsoft yet. He's traveling right now, which is why you guys got stuck with me this morning instead of him. So it may take a few days, but if you're curious, drop me an email and I will update you when I learn more. So do feel free to use either of these email addresses to get in touch. Like everything else, this will go up on YouTube. I'll never watch it again because I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I sounded like a scrambled egg talking through all that. And we really appreciate your attendance at our webinar. Again, you've got my email now, so if you need more info or if you have more info, feel free to drop me a line. And I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much for attending.